managing people in corporate world is one of the most difficult asks. There's no fun if you're not enjoying the journey and if you're only focused on the outcome.
That's correct.
Solve the problems in a better way. If you look at GSK now, we have a very inspiring purpose, which is staying ahead of the disease, combining science, technology, and talent. Especially in GSK, we have a very strong campus hiring programs. Whether am I earning a good salary, whether I am working with a big brand, am I in the right role, do I have a very inspiring manager? But fundamentally, the thing that should really matter is, am I really focusing on the meat of my current job?
Mr. Chinmay Sharma is the CHRO and Executive Vice President, Human Resources at GSK India, one of the country's largest pharmaceutical organization. With 4,000 plus strong workforce, including a unionized segment, Chinmay is driving the company's transformation under the new GSK vision. He's got extensive global experience across Philip Morris International, Procter & Gamble and GSK. Chinmay has played a key role in shaping HR strategies across multiple industries. A very warm welcome, Mr. Chinmay, in today's episode of the CHRO Exchange podcast.
Pleasure to be here. And Shikhar, first of all, thanks for coming all the way to our lovely office. And it's such an honor to be able to speak to the entire Masters Union fraternity. So yeah, looking forward to it, excited.
Likewise, sir, I'm very, very excited about the conversation. So I'll start with your journey first, right? You've worked across different countries, different companies, and all market leaders and all fantastic brands, right, throughout your journey. Just want to deep dive on your journey, right? What has led you here? What maybe one of those personal anecdotes from your early childhood, right, which has made you reach this coveted position, and also what made you choose HR as a career option?
Yeah, I think when you were just describing that I've worked in so many companies and countries, I didn't realize that I have come so far. So thanks for reminding me. I think the mantra of my life and career has been fairly simple, which is, when you get the opportunity, just grab them and ensure that you give 150%, let me put it this way. And I think this whole focus on simplicity comes from where I belong to. I come from a beautiful city called Jaipur.
Oh, lovely.
And till graduation, I never envisioned a life outside of Jaipur. It was such a lovely city. I had great friends. And it was my mom who really pushed me out, not because of any academic reason, but she just wanted me to get out of the city and do something meaningful with my life. And since then, I think life has been different. So look, like most of the people do today these days, they work after their undergrad and then go for an MBA so that they have a better idea of what they want to do post MBA. I had no idea when I started. And even HR, I was not sure whether I will end up in HR. I thought I will end up in finance. I was very fond of economics. I thought I'll get into a finance as a career, but during my internship, my guide had a different idea. He thought that I will probably do wonders in HR. I don't know how he saw at that point of time with no experience, and the rest is history. But as I said, one, he kept it simple always, and I think I was also very fortunate my paths crossed with several people who I thought were genuine well-wishers. And maybe it's a value that I acquired from my parents, my family, that when you find someone who genuinely cares for you, then you got to invest in those relationships and ensure that you trust their opinion, you value their opinion, and for life, not just for that moment.
Right.
And I think every assignment, every role, every company, I was fortunate to work with some best people, to work with some people who were later on my advisors, my mentors. Even today, if I'm not sure about myself in terms of my decisions, I always have a lot of people that I can go back to and take advice and some very objective counsel. So sum total of all this, I think helped me unlock my potential, which I think others saw probably more than me. And I think that's the lesson which I also learned as a leader.
Right.
Because what I learned very early in my career, because I started managing people when I was maybe 4 or 5 years in my career, and I realized that managing people in corporate world is one of the most difficult asks.
Yeah.
Okay, the easiest thing is doing things by yourself.
Correct.
Okay, but the difficult thing is to inspire others to do something the way you envision, right? And ensure that they see it the same way. And I learned very early in life that unlocking potential in people is the primary responsibility of any leader. And as long as you do that with genuine intent and interest, magic happens. Magic happens for you as a leader. Magic happens for people who work with you. And while today I have a lot of mentors for myself, I also have a lot of mentees for myself,
Right.
which keeps me honest as well as a leader at times. And coming back to, you talked about the companies and the countries. I think countries happened because of the fantastic companies that I worked for who provided me a lot of opportunities. But whenever I made career choices, beginning with my campus life and then later on, any company which was a pioneer in its respective industry always attracted me. So whether it's P&G, whether it's Philip Morris and GSK, these are companies which always aspire nothing but the best.
Right.
And when you aspire nothing but the best, then it reflects in everything in terms of how you conduct yourself from a business standpoint, your people practices, and your ability to reinvent and innovate to stay ahead of the curve in your industry.
Right.
And when you work for such companies, because the way they operate, opportunities keep coming your way. And then it's up to you not to complicate things, not to be over calculative. Grab the opportunities, make the most of it, ensure that every assignment you are learning, you're contributing, and also having a lot of fun. Because there's no fun if you're not enjoying the journey and if you're only focused on the outcome.
That's correct.
So I think, so 21 years now we are talking to each other and you are interested in my life experiences. But these small little things have made a lot of difference.
I'm very sure, first, your mentees would be extremely lucky to have you, because you're a very humble leader, and I'm sure they're extremely lucky that way. And I think two key takeaways, what I understood from this was that, it's very important to have a right set of people around you who motivate you not only in your good times, but, when you actually need them the most. And it's great to hear that, even at this stage of your life and career, right, you still have people like that, right, who you go to and, seek advices. And of course, whenever there's an opportunity which comes and knocks your door, don't shy away from it, right? Grab it with both hands is the key. Fantastic. So I think that's a very interesting insight, right? That when you work in such a space, people generally are so much on toes, right? They're constantly innovating, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the secret sauce. And to survive for more than 100 years, right? Fantastic. Managing a 4,000 plus workforce, right? And that too in a public listed environment in India. Just want to understand, how do you strike a balance between employee engagement and corporate strategy? Because we sit on the crossroads.
Yeah, see, corporate strategy and employee engagement are not kind of different aspects of business. It's all integrated. See, fundamentally, everything should start with the purpose of the organization, and then the strategy has to deliver on that purpose. If you look at GSK now, we have a very inspiring purpose, which is staying ahead of the disease, combining science, technology, and talent, which basically talks about how we can continue to innovate and provide healthcare solutions to patients who actually require them. But even fundamentally, if you look at GSK as an organization, and you talked about the fact that we are listed in India, we were always a company which was extremely patient focused.
Right.
Everything that we did was with the lens of, is it the right thing to do for the patients? And as long as that core is clear, your strategies will be very clear. There will be no ambiguity in terms of what we should do and what we should not do, because strategy is also about what you should not do.
Right.
And when that happens, it makes lives for people very simple, because There is no ambiguity for employees also in terms of what's acceptable, what's not, what they can do, what they cannot, and then they focus on things which really matter versus, and focusing on outcomes rather than a list of activities.
Right.
And the outcomes, as long as they are linked to doing the right thing for the patients, uh, life is simple. There's no issues in terms of how we decide, how we operate, how we engage with the external world as well as internally. So I think relatively, if you ask me, for a purpose-led organization like GSK, it doesn't matter whether we are listed or not. The listed part just adds a bit of extra governance from a regulatory standpoint. But when you are such a purpose-driven organization, your strategies are so clearly aligned to your purpose, actually engaging our employees is far more easier. And I've seen that if I compare with my, from my previous experience, it's actually far more easier. Our engagement rates, I mean, believe it or not, are always above 90%, which for me is a bit of a challenge as an HR leader, because how do you sustain that level of engagement? So the challenge is always beating the high expectations that we have, but we beat those expectations year on year. And the fact that we are always trying to innovate in terms of our people practices. There are some people practices that GSK has that we are extremely proud of, in terms of, for example, we are a healthcare company. We are both in the prevention as well as the treatment space.
Right.
So because we are in the prevention space, we have a benefit for our employees called Partnership for Prevention, wherein employees and their families are covered into a very holistic vaccination program. And it doesn't matter the vaccine belongs to GSK or not, but they can go for any vaccine that is available in the country, which helps protect them against some very life-threatening diseases. So, I mean, these kind of things can only happen in a leading healthcare company like ours.
Right. And I've not even heard of such initiatives anywhere else as well.
Yeah.
So I think talks about, how much the company values its people and the ecosystem it has created. Fantastic. Now, since we spoke about hiring, right? Just want to understand from you, if there is an MBA student, maybe, or someone who's pre-MBA planning to do an MBA, or someone who's an MBA student and wants to get into the pharma industry, right? In general, right? What are the 2 3 skills, or what are the 2 3 things you would want to tell him or her, right, that you do this right, and you're on the right track to enter the pharma industry?
Yeah. Look, first of all, and this is the conversation which always happens, because especially in GSK, we have a very strong campus hiring program. So we hire people, we hire early graduates from both business schools as well as pharmacy schools. First and the foremost, most important thing for us is, are we really targeting students who want to work for a purpose-led organization? Okay, if you want to work for reasons which are not linked to a higher order purpose, then probably pharma is not the right organization. But if you're really interested in making a difference to people's lives, saving lives, improving lives, then this is
The right place to be.
this is probably either you are yourself a healthcare professional, or you are making an impact at scale by being part of a healthcare organization. I think the other piece is, especially if you want to work for a healthcare organization, I think having empathy for people, for issues around the world, and solving those issues, having the curiosity and the tenacity to actually solve those issues and being passionate about it, we look for those people actively. And then most importantly, solving these issues, solving these problems, finding these solutions in a right way.
Interesting.
So as long as you want to work for a purpose-led organization, as long as you want to solve the most pressing health challenges that this world is facing, and as long as you want to solve these challenges in the most ethical and higher order way of doing things, then pharma or healthcare organization is the right sector for you.
Very interesting. I think that's a very important key takeaway here, that if you want to build a long career here, right? I mean, having that empathy touch and having that feeling that I want to contribute back to the
Yeah.
society has to be there. Otherwise, it's not a right place to be in for you,
Yeah.
right? Now, also, I would want to check if someone wants to build a career like you in HR, right? How should that individual approach in life?
Yeah, I mean, okay, let me come to HR later. But for any professional, I mean, even if let's say someone wants to work in a healthcare industry or any industry for that matter, um, you know, the challenge that every young professional faces, and I also faced when I started my career, is there are too many distractions
Right.
when you start your career, and there are too many comparisons that happen with your batchmates, with your counterparts in other companies. I mean, everyone is running their own race. First of all, okay, you're running your own race, and as long as you are focusing on setting your own standards and beating those standards consistently, you should not worry about what's happening, because the real difference in terms of what you did or you did not do from an overall career success standpoint, you will get to know after I would say 15, 20 years, not in 5 years. But the choices that we make in the first 5 years ensure that whether we had a successful or an accelerated career, or we had an average career. And why I say that is because in first 5 years, everything else sounds very important, which is whether am I earning a good salary, whether I am working with a big brand, am I in the right role, do I have a very inspiring manager. But fundamentally, the thing that should really matter is, am I really focusing on the meat of my current job?
Right.
And most of the people forget that part, because that's something which is in your control. You have a job in front of you, and there is when I say meat of that job, it means the most difficult thing that you can solve in that role. If you can solve that most difficult pressing thing in that role in 1 year, any progressive merit oriented organization will throw another opportunity at you in 1 year. But instead of focusing on solving that most difficult thing in the role, you are focusing on everything else. Then you feel that life is not fair, organization is not fair, uh, and you end up making choices and chase things which probably do not even exist.
All right. So I think we are towards the end of the podcast, and I really thank you for your time. This was a very interesting conversation. And understanding about your journey, understanding about how empowering the right set of people at the right time can actually push and lead to positive business outcomes. And of course, the valuable advice to the students at the last. This was a very holistic and very interesting conversation. Thank you once again for your time.
It's a pleasure, and I hope that the conversation at least spark a thought in young professionals out there, and happy to share more in future as well. All the best to everyone, and looking forward to hear a lot of success stories from Masters Union. Thank you.